Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Let's Talk About It. I'm very excited to be here. The show we've been promoting all month long. Once a month, we have a amazing guest on from an amazing community, amazing family called Let's Talk About It. As far as the guest today, I'm really excited to have him on because of the fact that he is a little bit different in terms of content. I've got to know this guy really, really well. We have a lot of fun together as much as we banter back and forth. But his content is leading into a little bit more of the cinematography thing. He's actually a part of the industry. So it's really exciting to pick his brain and basically get to know him even more. He's been out and about in the Taco Society, really helping out others as far as what movies to watch, what to review. I know I've been blowing up his channel lately, so I'm really excited to be able to interview this guest. So, without further ado, formerly known as Brown Rat Dad, now in transition as far as now your Uncle Manny or Uncle Manny. Bring him in here in the hot seat. So let's get to it. Good morning, Uncle Manny. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, even though you said I'm transitioning. I'm not transitioning. It's a
Oh,
rebrand.
okay.
I, I'm
Rebranding,
still, I'm still
rebranding.
who I am. I'm still who I am.
Still,
I'm not
still Brown Rat
transitioning to
Dad.
anything.
Still
Yes,
Brown Rat Dad.
I'm still a rad dad. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, basically, appreciate you coming on the show here today. Just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, where you're originally from, so we can kind of,
I'm
let
good.
everybody else to uh, learn a little bit about you.
That's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm here. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, what part of my upbringing you want? I mean, I'm from the Bronx, New York. Born and raised. That's what was the added part again? You said.
Just
Sorry, we're starting this
whatever
off.
you would like the people to know about you, like right as of right now. What is your what started it all? What got you into content, gaming, whatever? Just go ahead and what do we
Well,
need to
I
know
don't.
about Brown Rat Dad?
Well, what I would like you to know is that we were once, despite what people might think, we didn't really have a lot of shit to do back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like you made some, like if there was cameras and the stuff that we have now, back when I was a kid, we all would be YouTubers and because we were doing the shit that people on YouTube do. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't have a camera to film our adventures. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's really why we had nothing else to do but go out and play, go out and do stuff and be silly and make mistakes and do all that other stuff. You know what I mean? So it was like that's just I guess that's part of where it all came from. But
Okay,
yeah, I
okay.
was born and raised in New York, and love it because sometimes it's useful in my adult life, to have been raised there.
Name one reason why it's useful to be like from New York in your adult life. Like what can you take away from that?
Well, I mean, when people say like if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. It's not a saying for no reason. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like New York is pretty tough, and it teaches you how to hustle, I think, and to go after what you want because nobody else is going to do it for you, right? That's like the main thing I could say. Like as a New Yorker, a lot of people that's their attitude. It's like, bro, like get over it. You're not gonna. Nobody's gonna do this shit for you. You know what I'm saying? Like you do this shit yourself. If not, then get out of my way, kind of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What basically growing up in New York, like what do you miss? What's the one thing that you miss? Like were you there your entire life and then did you move, or were you there as a baby and then moved, or like
No, I lived
how
in my entire life in New York City, man. I think. I mean, I guess the one thing I would say I miss is the accessibility, right? Being able to get stuff at any hour of the night. And just being I guess back in the day being a child in New York City, just running around reckless, doing whatever the hell, not caring about stuff. But just like the community aspect of it, and just being around,
How
seeing
was
the
the
crazy shit that happens all the time, because things happen literally every second of the day. Something crazy is happening somewhere. So,
how was the food in New York? That's one thing that I'm curious about. Like, is there a
oh,
certain thing you would love to like take with you everywhere you go?
every single one, everything. I mean, I think New York is probably, besides California and probably like Vancouver and stuff, it's like the mecca of food, man. It's like literally all types of food is in New York City, and then depending on what borough you go to, you get different. You travel the world. Like you can literally travel the world within the boroughs of New York City. You go from Central America to Latin America to freaking Europe to you know uh, Brazilian food. You can get Middle Eastern food, Asian food, Indian food. Literally every type of food there. So it's kind of dope.
That's awesome.
I would say I would. There's a place. There are places called Cuchi Fritos, which is basically like a fast food place almost for Spanish food, and a lot of times they'll have like foods that you can eat on the go. That's one thing I would say I miss about New York is like getting food that I can eat while I'm walking, which is kind of weird to say that, but like if you live in New York and you have like any time real in New York, you understand that you have no choice but to eat on the go. So you're eating a folded pizza while walking the street because you have to get to where you need to go to. You know what I'm saying? Or you're eating, acapuria or de papa or something like that because you're on the way to like a meeting or you're trying to get home or whatever the case would be. You know what I'm saying? So
Wait a second. What did you just say? What kind of food?
I said food that you probably wouldn't understand, but
Yeah, no. What was the
they're
food you
very.
just said?
One of them was acapurria, and the other one is a lleno de papa. So the lleno de
Wh-
papa is basically like potato with meat inside, and then it's fried.
Okay.
Like it has
Okay.
masa on the outside, and it's fucking delicious, bro.
I'm gonna need you to
All of
post
them.
some pictures of that in the Discord because I have no idea what
No,
those
there's
are.
a
So
part of my culture I'm not sharing with you. So sorry.
okay. So
I'm just
uh
kidding.
so so went from New York and now you're in Michigan.
Unfortunately,
What
unfortunately, I'm in this godforsaken state. No,
what
no.
drove you to, was it work or was it what made the move from New York to Michigan?
I wish it was work. So first, I mean, if you want my whole story, I went to Florida over like a year and was like homeless over there for a little bit. So then I went back to New York and then kind of just did my thing. And then, I was dating somebody at the time, broke up with her. Then I met my wife, who was not my wife at the time, obviously, but I met my now wife, and she forced me to move out here against my free will, as Puerto Rico women do. So, no,
I've heard a lot of stories that they're
no,
crazy.
she didn't really force me, but you got to go where the good stuff is, right? So,
Right. So basically what basically inspired you, or what was like the first thing that, because I know you don't play a lot of video games per your content, what you're into, but like growing up, what was the first kind of like video game you seen that you're like, oh my god, I gotta play this, or like what drew you to that?
well, I play video games. I just don't do it as my content. Like, I feel
Right.
like nobody watches me play video games, so it's like, why do it? You know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
um, I guess like I mean, obviously, I'm from the Super Mario generation. You know what I mean? Tetris is one of those games that I would get hooked on. But I think the only games that I would say that I grasped to as a kid were like sports games and fighting games.
Okay.
I remember spending hundreds of dollars in the arcade that was like down the street from my house, just trying to beat the best players there, and then escaping before the thugs came in, the gangsters who actually ran the arcade,
So were you one of the
came in.
kids
I had
that
to
would
leave.
Were you one of the kids that put the quarters up and say, I got next, and then he kind of look at you and they just be like, son of a gun, I got to fight this guy now? Or were you one of them
Not
kids? Or
really. Not really. but when I did get good, people definitely was like, I'm good. Like, I don't want to fight this dude, you know. Yeah, but
What's the
not at first.
what's the one fighting game you specialize in that you think that you were very good at back in the day on that?
I wouldn't say I specialize in anything. I just say like the one arcade that they had was like Mortal Kombat 3
Yeah.
Ultimate. So I would, and then when Marvel vs. Capcom came out, I would get on the sticks and I would spend time on there. But then by the time that came out, I was already like, that's when women started to come into my life, or girls started to come in my. And I was like, I'm good with this stupid fight stick crap, you know. So.
Nah, you gotta go chase the girls instead of
Right, yeah.
be on the fight stick. All
Somebody
right.
else play with my fight stick. No, I was kidding.
So let's fast forward a little bit. What? How did you get into the movie industry? Like, what? How did you become about that? I know you're very big into it. You know a lot about production and kind of how things work and how writers write. I know you were talking about before off as far as you wanting to write something, produce something yourself sometimes. But how did you get involved in like what was the steps? What led to that?
So it all started when I was a baby, and I came out the womb with a camera. It wasn't invented yet, but I just was like, I'm here, motherfuckers. No, I wish it was like that, honestly. I guess the love of craft started when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. Ironically, we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't have like the latest and greatest technology. And back then, it was like a VHS video camera. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh, yeah.
but my mom had borrowed one from her friend to record our graduation, and then here's a word of advice: don't ever lend a Puerto Rican anything. You'll like never get that shit back.
Okay.
If you do, it'll probably be a very long time. But it granted, while it was in my house for a while, one day we were, that's when they used to leave kids at home by themselves and not have to worry about it and hope that they were alive when say my mom had to work 2 jobs, so it was like she didn't have money for a babysitter. So she was like, look, don't kill each other, don't break nothing, you guys will be okay. And we were, but one day I think I was watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and I got bored because I was just like, all right, it's over, let's do something. Picked up the video camera, I don't know why, but put it in a VHS tape and started recording my brother. And I started directing him around the house and telling him to act like I remember this shit like it was yesterday. I was like, act like you're still in the bike or something. And the way our house was, our apartment, because we didn't have a house, but the kitchen had it had 2 doors, so you can go through one doorway and out the other. There was no doors; it was just doorways,
Okay.
So he was going around in a circle, and I was like, "All right, do something else." And then I had cut the camera, and then I was like, "All right, act like you're gonna fight somebody," because when you like pretend someone's beating you up, and I'm gonna go ahead and edit it in so it looks like you're fighting somebody. Meanwhile, I had no fucking clue how to do that. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I didn't even know like you could do that or that's how it was done. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I was just like, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Never got around to it, obviously, because I'm 7, and by the time my mom got home, I had to put the camera away because I wasn't allowed to use it. You know what I mean? It wasn't ours. So, but I guess that's where my love for it came about. But ironically, to answer your question, a long-winded way, is my wife was pregnant with my son, and she was kind of feeling some type of way, and we went to this makeup event around where we live at, and there was this guy. Like, I was in film school already. There was this guy who was taking photos of the event, and I was like, well, I don't have any friends out here. Like, I really still don't. I have like maybe 2-3 friends out here, but at the time I had nobody. So I was just like, well, trying to meet friends that are in that industry. You know what I'm saying? So like, broaden my horizons and perfect my craft. And I just walked up to him. I said, hey, dude, like, what do you do? Like, you just do photography or whatever? He's like, no, I do music videos and that's also dope. I was like, well, I'm in film school. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to meet people to kind of like, do stuff and learn, and he took my number, and then He was like, "Hey, next month I got a video coming up. If you want to take part of it," I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So every week, I was like, "Hey, what's the story with that? What's the story with that? What's the story with that?" And from there, it was a wrap, you know. And then I started working in the industry, and I was working at the time, so I was taking days off from my job or whatever. And one day I was just like, I just asked the universe. I was like, "Hey, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, show me what you want me to do." And literally, not even 5 seconds later, I turn the channel and I hear one of my favorite movies come on, which is Carlito's Way,
Great movie.
and he's talking about it's the part where he's in the car with his girlfriend, and he's saying he's trying to get out and all that, and he says this line that goes, you know, the dream can will only come so far. You have to chase it now. That was literally what was on the screen when I changed the channel. And I was just like, it's a wrap. Like that's the sign right there. And then when I went back to work, everybody was like, "Oh, living the dream, living the dream." I was like, I gotta quit this place. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't my dream, you know what I'm saying? And then work on the film industry side started picking up a lot. So I was like, I'm out this bitch. And that was 10 years later.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Growing up too, not in the greatest financial standard, but to me, movies was always an escape. I can't count how many times I've watched the same movie over and over and over just to escape it, and it really sucks because I have such a really good memory that I really only have to watch something once, and I can almost damn near start quoting it. So in that time of when you were talking about kind of not growing up very financial, did you have that where there was like one movie you kind of clinged on to, or was it just the Carlito's Way, or was there any other thing that you just like what got you out of the, you know, the reality of what you were in at the time?
I think being my creativity and my brother got me out of that shit because we would be home with each other all the time. So we would just do things like we created video games based off of not video games. We created like games based off of like our action figures and a milk cot, like a milk cap. You know what I'm saying? And like we created a whole point system and all that, and we just kind of were brothers, and like that's what we had to get through it. You know what I'm saying? Movies were dope, but we didn't really have a VCR. We didn't go out to the movies as kids. You know what I'm saying? But when it came on TV, if I could see it, I would watch it. You know, I'm from the era of TJIF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Boy Meets World and Family Matters and Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like that was my world. And that's the stuff that I think I watched to kind of pass the time. You know what I mean? And to escape whatever I was dealing with. You know.
T- Tell you a little story here about as far as growing up. I'm one of nine, but I actually only have one actual blood brother itself out of the nine. And we were again not at a financial standpoint that we got really addicted to the show Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Um, and everybody when we go to school, they'd have the cards and they have everything. Like we were so poor that we literally would watch the show, write down the attack and the defense points, and draw our own like cards out of notebook paper and like
Yeah.
pretend and like act out the show like in our bedrooms and stuff like that. And of course, you know, I was a huge Seto Kaiba fan, so I had to have all the blue eyes, like every single one. But that's really cool that you and your brother would go around and act out. And did you guys like try to reenact scenes, or did you guys just kind of make up your own stuff?
No, I think we just like created a game, right? Like we had a very narrow hallway,
Yeah.
and what we did was we just grabbed the action figures and we would stand them up. And sometimes we would, you know, fight or wrestle, you know, because we had wrestling fans, like wrestling
Hmm.
toys and stuff like that. But mostly it was like we would take a bottle cap like from a milk cap back when they would have like really, I don't know if they had them there, but they were like really really flat, and they were
Yeah.
like the ones that you just pop off. You don't have to twist them off or whatever.
Hmm.
So we would take those and they would slide really really well, you know. So we would flick them, and if we flicked them and we hit an action figure off, that was like a point. If we banked it off of the hallway to hit an action figure off, that'd be 2 points. Or if we hit one action figure and then it hit another one, that'd be like 3 points. So we had like a whole system, and that was just like what helped us get through the day, you know, while
That's
mom wasn't there.
That's so funny that you say that and say stuff like that, because if you look at kids nowadays, the creativity's not there. Like, it's all phone and tablet and everything like that. Like, we literally had to entertain ourselves, and it was kind of like growing up, my parents were like, "Oh, go do something, get out of my hair, do whatever," and like we had
Right.
to entertain ourselves. So for you to come up with like a little game here, I mean, that's awesome, man. That's really awesome. I know you touched on pro
Well,
wrestling.
hold on. I
Go
would
ahead.
say I don't think they don't have creativity. I think that is just different, right? Like
Yeah, right,
kids nowadays, like you said, we had to entertain ourselves, right? And I
right,
think kids nowadays want to entertain others. You know what I'm saying? Like they focus on being entertainers to other people, right? Other kids, like. But I still think that there is creativity and imagination within
right,
our youth, because if not, then all the stuff that we would have going on right now would just not. It would just be nothing. You know what I'm saying? Plus, they're our kids, right? And that's what
right,
we're our job is to do, is to pass that along. Like, yo, no, try to be like that. Try to draw like. And I think that one of the things that I try to do is I try to empower anybody that's around me. It's like, if you want to, like, if you tell me I want to learn how to draw, okay, we're going to show. I'm gonna help you try to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And I think that our generation used when the internet was growing up, used the internet to learn, right? We used the internet to figure out how to do shit, because there was knowledge there, and there was knowledge that we did not know,
right.
you know. And I think this new generation looks at the internet and as entertainment, and it looks at like, versus like us, we would flip through the channels, or we were, screw the screwdriver or the wrench or whatever to find different stations on TV. While now you can do so just by going to a website or going to a social media site. You know what I mean? So that's their form of like escaping,
Yeah,
right? That's their form of like just whatever issues they got going on. That's why people follow people. That's why
right.
people gravitate towards content creators, because they want to escape the world that they're living in at the moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that I think is just a little different. I wouldn't
No,
say it's gone. I just think it's different.
that's true. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you're not wrong, because I do see sometimes my kids, they're on the tablet and they make all kinds of stuff and crawls. So I guess the creativity isn't gone. It's just in a different form than what we are used to from what we were to growing up. So the way to break it down, you're always good at breaking stuff down, regardless of whatever it is. Um, Bringing up, you did touch on pro wrestling, so I got to go there. What was the first instance of you seen it either on TV or wherever? What got you into pro wrestling?
Oh, I saw it on TV. I think we had a pay per view. I think it might have been a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble. Shawn Michaels. I think it was Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon, and I think that's when I really was like, "Oh, this is great. This is amazing." But again, like, I feel like I had parents, while they were great, they didn't. They were too focused on other things and not like
Sure.
honing the creativity or honing the passion that I had, if that makes sense. And I just think that that's like the time, right? Like the time that it was, we weren't talking about this sort of thing back then. They weren't like, no one was like, oh yeah, you got to empower your kid. Like if he's passionate about something, it was
Right.
all about like, that's too expensive. Like you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. It costs too much money. Like I can't.
Yep.
I was in baseball, but I didn't really like baseball. It was because the guy who raised me, he liked baseball, so I did
Right.
baseball because it was that. But it wasn't something that was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like I didn't go to every baseball game or follow the stats, and like there was no like actual passion for anything. You know what I mean? So I feel like if there would have been, and it would have been somebody to say, hey man, go after it. Like I got your back. My life would be totally different, because then
Right.
I would have that confidence and have that ability of like, all right, I'm gonna go after it. You know what I mean? So for me, that's why I try to do that to everybody. And sometimes I'm a
Right.
little extreme with it, because I like, I go hard for people I fuck with.
You,
So
I definitely can definitely vouch on the critique that you have for people that you truly have love for. Can be hard whether they want to hear it or not. I know at the end of the day you do
that's
care,
me.
and I'm
That's
a
me,
prime
baby.
example. Sometimes that does happen as well, you know. But
Listen, if you don't want to hear it, I'm gonna tell you because sometimes,
he's gonna
sometimes you need to. Like, just because you don't want something
absolutely.
doesn't mean you don't need to it. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? It's like, you know.
That's that's right.
Uh,
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. But to backtrack, so you said Shawn Michaels, Res Ramon's first thing you seen pay per view.
yeah, I actually
Did,
went. I actually went to a WWE show or WWF at the time show. And I remember this like it was just. I think I've only been to one when I was a kid, and we sat in the nosebleeds. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but once you sat front row at a wrestling show, there's really no other way to do it. I'm gonna be honest with you. But you know, it was Yokozuna versus Undertaker in a casket match, and
that'd been cool.
ironically, the one that I saw was probably a house show because
Hmm.
it wasn't the one that aired. Like it was like if you go back and watch it, it's not at
Sure.
Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? So, but if it is, that's the one I was at. So yeah, it was kind of dope, and it was an experience that I had as a kid. You know, my brother's father took us, and it was one of those things that was just like, this is dope. Like, but that was like the only time that we ever did something like that. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely.
So,
Now back then, fast forwarding to now, what are your thoughts at the state wrestling is in today?
I think that it's a great time to be a wrestling fan because it's kind of like revitalized now. It's being taken as like a sport versus a circus. I feel like, you know what I'm saying. And I feel like no matter what, if whether you are a fan or not, or you're a fan of one brand or the other, like at the end of the day, the stuff that we're consuming is dope. Like it's amazing, you know. Obviously, you have the wrestling purists out there that probably hate certain things and probably, you know, and it's like that's fine, it's cool. You know, they got the casuals that love everything mindlessly, and that's cool too. Like whatever you are, you know. But I feel like it did die for a while. A lot of people, mainstream wise, people didn't really care about it, you know. And now there, you know, you have this thing where you can kind of, it's like a subculture, right? So if I wear a AEW shirt and I go out, and this actually happened to me, and go out and someone is also an AEW fan, they commented on the shirt like, "Yo, that's crazy!" Like blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And it's like you start seeing different types of demographics and age groups that are in the stands. Like back in the day, I used to remember like there was hardly anybody who looked like me in the stands, and now it's so diverse, and it's like there's more women that watch now. You know, you know, it ranges from all different types, and I think that's the beautiful thing about it. It's something that comes together every week, and every week a bunch of different people get in the arena with the same goal, you know, to watch a good show, yell at some wrestlers, have fun, and suspend reality, you know. And it's beautiful. No matter the race and or creed, political background, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going in there, and it's amazing. And it's like that's the energy. If we could bottle that up and like spread it around, it'd be so cool, so cool.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. Exactly what you're saying. Not to mention, you know, not a plug. Just saying, UWF and TWS is the best wrestling show on any platform. Just saying, you know, just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. No, well, Uncle Manny, BRD, that's really all the questions I have, but we have tons of questions from the
Oh, that's all you
people.
have, huh? That's all you have, huh,
That's all
rude
I got
boy?
right now. Maybe something will kick up later on, but we have tons of questions
Sure,
here from the
feel free.
people. Wild here says, question number one, what got you started into streaming?
Actually, TBG did. Yeah, he used to stream on Kick. He told me about it. I never really went to Kick, but I was like, when he went to Twitch, I checked it out, and I was like, this is dope. And the crazy part is, like, I had a Twitch account since 2016 for some reason. and I didn't even realize it. And then when during I think it was during the pandemic, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm on Twitch now because Kick shut down." I'm like, "I bet I'll check you out." Checked it out. I was like, "Yo, this is fire!" Like, people actually watch you do this? He was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Bet." I had nothing else
Yeah.
to do, so I was like, "Let me get into it," and I loved it. I used to have a radio show back in 11 2010 around there. And I used to love doing that, man. And it got really, really popular, especially on the West Coast. And I used to love doing it. It was every week I used to do it. And it was just a good time, you know. But yeah,
Man.
I credit my streaming career to TBG for sure.
And to add on to that, if you guys have never seen a TBG Dice First stream, which he hasn't done in a very long time, he has the most epic opening I've ever seen. I'm not talking the stream. I'm talking about the way he delivers stuff, the way he talks about stuff, the way that I miss the "you get me." God, I miss that so much, man. Like everything
Yeah.
that man done. I actually my encounter with him is actually rated him back when he was playing Rogue really heavily. And I met him out of the blue, and I tell you what, just an instant connection. Then I got to meet. He got me to meet Susie Monster. Susie rated me afterwards. She was very reluctant to do it, so I got to meet her.
I don't blame her.
And just after that it's been nothing but family, so I can't really say anything as far as I owe that man a lot myself, the people that just got me connected with. So yeah,
dude,
definitely a lot of love for that man. Second question here is, what is your favorite food?
Women. Oh shit! No, honestly, I mean, I like all types of stuff, from sushi to Puerto Rican, anything Puerto Rican food, but I like to try different things. You know what I mean? I don't really have like a bias towards anything. But yeah, I'm a huge like sushi and like protein person, like chicken, and love me a good steak. I don't want to keep naming foods because then I'm gonna get hungry, and it's only breakfast.
Okay. What's one of your biggest fears?
I think not being the best father I can be. That's got to be it. Before I was a father, I would say I don't give I'm nothing really. That's probably the biggest one I have right now.
You don't have any fears in terms of like heights, tarantulas, reptiles, anything like that? Just
No, I could
father.
not like something and not be crippling fear against it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't, bro. I grew up poor, bro. Like spiders and rats and shit don't fucking.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of them. I mean, I don't like them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm bigger than them. Why the fuck would I be scared? You know what I'm saying? But obviously, if I was to ever encounter a big ass spider, like the ones that kind of eat possums and shit, I'm like, I ain't fucking with that. Get away from me, you know. But yeah, I would say ultimately that's like the only thing I'm really scared of, you know.
Okay.
Also, I was in a freaking motorcycle accident, like literally I could almost died. So once you go through that shit, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
you were saying about that. Like, how did that change Did that change any outcome on how you thought about things after your recovery? And like, thank God you're still
Absolutely.
here with us. So, like, if you want to touch base on that at all, definitely.
Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely, it did. And to answer the people's questions in the chat, I used to be scared of clowns when I was a kid, and then I got over it. I don't know how could somebody be afraid of cotton? I have no idea, but people are afraid of a lot of things, I don't want to judge, but yes. I used to not like things that like loud, so like if you pop the balloon, I used to hate that shit. But I got over it after a while. But getting back to that, yeah, I mean, my outlook has definitely changed since then. I'm like 100% more focused on. I'm less focused about money and career, and more focused on family, right? Like being there for my family and trying to build that, and just being around, versus like I gotta do this, I gotta do that, grinding. Like it's like I gotta be on the next job, I gotta be on the next job. I'm trying to make this, blah blah blah. You know, while that is still something that is important, it's not the main focus for me right now, and I'm cool with it.
And you still ride motorcycles to this day after the accident, right?
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. That's
I
so
was
cool
in I was in
because
physical. I was riding to physical training.
that's
I feel like
crazy.
it was. I mean, when I got home, when I got home from the accident, my brother came to visit me, and I said, "I'm going downstairs to get on your motorcycle." And he's like, "No, you're not." I said, "Yes, I am. I'm not gonna drive it anywhere, but I need to sit on the motorcycle and I need to put my hands on the motorcycle." And that's what I did. Bandaged up, you know, still got like stitches and shit. And I was like, I got to get back on it because if I don't, I never will, and I can't let that happen. You
Man,
know.
that's so inspiring here for you to overcome something like that, a life-threatening accident, which is really cool. And still have the drive to still do, there's people, for instance, like when my wife got into a car accident, she didn't want to drive for a week, afterwards. She was terrified. So like for you to instantly wanting to get back on it, man,
Well, I was in the
awesome.
hospital for about a week too, so I'm pretty sure that kind of. But I was in there like, man, I want to get out of this place. I need to get out of here. I'm tired of it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even like I
Yeah,
wasn't even really thinking about life. You know, I was thinking, and I still didn't learn my lesson, right? Like I always say, like universe has a way of teaching you shit, and sometimes it'll teach you little by little, and if you don't listen, at some point, it's gonna do some shit that's gonna teach you in a way that is gonna put you on your ass and give you the time to think about it. And that's exactly what happened. And then afterward is when I kind of started thinking, I'm like, oh man, like, because in my mind I'm like, all right, I have to hurry up and get healed so I can get back to work, so I can get, because I don't want to lose momentum. um because I was booming, I was killing it at the time, and then the accident happened and I was, fuck man, the worst time for this shit to happen, but I mean, even when I came to, I was like, I gotta call my job, and they were like, your job is the least of your worries. I said, no, you don't understand. I have to call them and let them know I'm not gonna be here. You know what I'm saying? Because
right. Yeah,
like they had to find somebody to replace me. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And that was my first thought. Was like, I gotta call them so that he can do that, and then I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? But and I think that was the lesson I needed to learn. Was like, yo, it's not worried about that. And the crazy part, now that I look at it, the universe was telling me that through other people.
no,
They were saying like, hey, this is not important, it's just work. Like, focus on your family, don't worry about if a job comes next week or whatever. Like it's not important, the jobs will always be there. Focus on your family. And that's what I needed to do. And the universe was like, all right, so you don't want to listen even after your accident, well, we're going to give you 2 years off. So I was like, fuck, god damn you, universe.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm actually, the last couple of days I've been working on set, so that's been kind of cool. So it's good to get back in there, and it's like it's been a rush. It's been amazing. I would not want to do anything else with my life, to be honest with you.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you could pick anyone in the world to be best friends with, who would it be?
Damn it. Oh man, I don't know, man, because I feel like celebrities are just people. And when you meet people that you see one persona of, when you finally meet them and you see behind the veil, it can kind of mess you up. But I think the one person that I could say that I think it would be kind of cool to like be able to call him up and be like, yo, what's up, what's going on, is Terry Crews, because I had some time to like drive him around, and he was cool. He was cool as hell. Very smart, very knowledgeable guy, very very nice person. So I would say, yeah, Terry Crews for sure.
Gotcha. Well, those are all the questions from Wild. Our next dive of questions is from Mama Pumpkin Pie.
Oh, Mama
Which
Pumpkin.
Mama
Yeah.
Pumpkin Pie, one of your favorites here. Um, she says, "What actively instantly calms you?"
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Who's this Dead Money 6 dude in the chat that I need to smack?
I have no idea.
Because first of all, we don't say those things here. Second of all, neither of us are unemployed, so you can suck it, okay? And third of all, you fucking watching us. So if you don't like it, go to another fucking channel. Sorry. Continue.
Well said. No, well said. Um, yeah. So she says, "What actively instantly calms you?"
Women. No, I'm just kidding. It's kind of like the reverse thing, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, oh, kind of interesting to say that. I don't think anything instantly calms me. Um, it's a process, I think now.
Probably you on your motorcycle probably calms you pretty well.
Yeah, but I don't really get to ride that much now, especially with the weather getting all crazy.
Sure.
But I will say that could be an escape. Yeah, that could be. I will say that riding a motorcycle, or going to catch a movie could be something that can help me relieve some stress. For sure.
Next question she says is, "What's your favorite content genre? Horror, sci-fi, rom-coms, etc."
So it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be kind of like hard to believe this, but I kind of like rom coms a lot. I like comedies. Comedies are something that I think is like I just love them. Horror films are cool every now and then, but I feel like they all started becoming the same shit, and which is funny because these rom coms are basically the same formula. But um, I would say I love drama or thrillers more than anything else. Action, obviously, but thrillers or things where you have to figure out, like suspense stuff where you have to figure it out, like who's the killer or who's the person that's behind this mystery stuff. Like that's really stuff that really intrigues me. Something where I have to use my brain. It's hard for me to watch movies because I know how they make them and I know what it takes to make them. So it's like I started noticing little things here and there, and I've always been like that, like noticing mistakes and stuff in movies, and it's like I don't know, like doing those things in a way where it's like, oh, I noticed this, I noticed that. If you could trick me and where I don't notice that, to me, it's a good movie automatically.
So it's funny that you say that. When they do like misedits, as far as in movies, like perfect example, the original Spider-Man, right? If you're watching the original Spider-Man at the very end of the movie, spoiler if nobody's ever seen it, but it's been out since like 2000, so
Right, it's just been 20 something years. Get over
anywho,
it.
if you're watching it at the very end of the movie when Mary Jane is talking to Peter, right? They're standing at the grave. And if you watch it real closely, her hand's on his cheek, and then it's off, and then it's back on again. So that's considered a misedit, to where you don't actually see the movement of the character before they. Now, I've been told, and maybe you may know, that back in the day, like growing up in the 90s, they said that if you were to find misedits like that, you actually could submit those in, and you would get some type of reward from it. Is that true or false? Do you know anything about that?
I have no idea about that. I wouldn't call it a misedit. I think it's sometimes it's a take where it didn't happen, right? And
Okay.
sometimes like because a lot of movies they do variations of stuff, right? That's why the director is the director. Like you want to see different types of like so maybe like the actor forgot to put their hand on him, or in that take they didn't do it, but what they said was perfect, right? The way the inflection was, the way everything was perfect, or it was the only usable edit. Maybe in the one where she did do it, an airplane freaking flew by, or somebody walked in the background that they couldn't get a release for. There's so many reasons why things like that happen, right? But I understand why people would look at it as a misedit because it's like, oh shit, the hand moved, blah blah blah, and it's just like no. Sometimes it's just a different take where they did that. And I've been doing that since forever, man. That was like the first thing. The first thing I realized how to do was like, oh shit, wait, they made a mistake there, or they made a mistake. There's a camera there, blah blah blah. Like that was one of the things I learned. And then the crazy part is that there's an actual job on set to pick up those mistakes and to keep track of the way actors do certain things, whether they use their right hand to grab something or their left hand, or which way the phone was, or whatever the case may be. So when there's a lot of those in a movie, chances are either the person was not very good at the job or they didn't hire one.
Got you.
Yeah.
Another question here: who or what never fails to make you laugh?
Who or what?
Yeah, who or what?
Never fails. I don't know. Aside from my son, because I think he's funny sometimes. And just the shit that he says, I'll just be like, bro, you're hilarious. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I'm. I don't know. I don't know who fails him. I mean, I used to be a Jim Carrey fan. You know, shit, man. I can't remember. My memory has been messed up
Okay.
since the accident. But I'm trying to remember his name. Steve Carell.
Steve
He's
Carell.
always
Yeah.
funny. Oh man, Steve
Yeah.
Carell's freaking
The
hilarious.
Office is hilarious, man. I love The
Yeah.
Office.
That's kind of my like. He has my kind of humor, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think it
Dry
plays
humor,
into
kind
me.
of.
Yeah, it's like very sarcastic humor. Like
Hmm.
you could say things funny, but with a straight face.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I love that shit. You know,
Yeah.
and then also Will Ferrell. I think he's the
Okay.
same kind of comedian. It's like, bro, this dude's hilarious. And I saw him live, and he was that funny still. And I was like, bro, this is
Um.
hilarious.
Next question here, which Mom Pumpkin get back into the food here. What would your perfect meal look like?
Oh man, I don't know.
Everything. No, I'm just
Everything.
kidding.
Yeah, it's tough for because like I'm also. I mean, I feel like there's two types of people in the world. People who are texture people and they don't want their food to touch. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, oh, my chicken can't touch my rice or my mashed potatoes. And then there's people who like will mix it. You know,
Yep.
but then there's me. I throw everything in one. Like if I have mashed potatoes and chicken, I'm dipping
Oh,
the chicken in the mashed potato and eating it like that,
absolutely.
or you know.
Yep. I
So
I think the
yeah, I feel like
best
you
way
get
to
the best
eat mashed
combinations that way. You know.
the best
The what?
way to eat mashed potatoes is with corn in your mashed potatoes, man. I love it. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. And it's just like, bro, I mean, I get the texture thing, but I just like get over it, man. You're an adult, bro. Like
um,
textures.
what's the best piece of advice a family member has given you?
Shit. Um, a family member has given to me.
Yeah.
Can't really call it to be honest, because I've been the one to always be the person to give advice.
Okay.
You know, I think when I was growing up, they told me not to hang out with certain people, and I didn't listen. So I think
Sure.
that was probably the best advice they gave me. Um, Maybe I would say, I don't know, nothing really family members. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. What makes you proud of your family?
I think the fact that no matter what, we always got each other's back. You know, like it doesn't matter if we're arguing or we haven't talked to each other in a while. I mean, we've had those moments where I haven't spoken. I had to physically put my hands on one of my brothers one time because he did something stupid, and we didn't talk for a while. And then now we're cool, and we have an estranged relationship, but it's like we're still brothers at the end of the day, and we can get together and be cordial and be brothers. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what I'm most proud about. We each have our own creativity and each have our own personality that I think complements each other.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. What life lessons have you had to learn the hard way?
Every single one of them. Who doesn't learn life lessons the hard way? I feel like that's the only way you learn a life lesson, bro. Like you don't learn a life lesson from somebody to be like, hey man, if you don't look before you cross the street, you're gonna get hit by a car. No, you learn a life lesson by not looking both ways for across the street and get hit by the goddamn car. That's the whole epitome of a life lesson. It changes your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, every single one of them, every single one of them, bro. Because like, there's no other way. That's the only way it sticks. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like, think about it. When's the last lesson you learned about life that wasn't the hard way?
Man, yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it, right? Yeah, you're
Exactly.
right.
That's the whole. So that question is hilarious because it's like, bro, like you literally cannot learn a life lesson without it. Think about how you learn how to walk.
Yeah,
You busted your ass the whole time. You fell, you cried, you got frustrated, you went through all this shit, right? You may not remember it because you were, infant. That was a hard way That was the hard way to learn how to walk. You could have learned how to walk the easy way, but there doesn't exist.
Uh, what makes you feel at peace? Just kind of the same as we said earlier,
Sleeping.
but
No.
sleeping. Yeah.
No. I think feel at peace. I mean, I don't know. What do you define as peace, right? You know what I'm
It's up to
saying?
you.
Cause what I'm saying, like, what do you define as peace? Like, peace can be by yourself. Peace can be, um, with people that you love. Peace can be. I think peace is just what makes you feel content and happy. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's multiple answers to that. You know what I mean? While I can say yes, being on a motorcycle in the middle of nowhere, enjoying the environment can be very peaceful. At times, it can be very scary because you're on a motorcycle in the middle of nowhere in the environment. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Sure.
like there's multiple things. I think listening to some good music, smoking a joint or something. Like a bunch of these things can make you feel at peace.
What does self-care look like for you?
Oh, big ass bubble bath.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a bubble bath person, bro. Get me a damn hot tub with some bubbles. I'm good. Just lay there, soaking, ready for the aliens to eat me.
Okay. Well, that is all the questions by Mama Pumpkin here. Now we're gonna move into the harder questions by Alm here.
Oh boy.
Oh boy! Right?
God damn it! No.
What's your idea of a dream job?
I'm already living it, man. To be honest.
Yeah.
I think for anybody else who needs guidance on this is whatever you love doing, no matter what it is, right? I think that's your dream job. It doesn't matter if it sounds stupid to people like your family or to your spouse or whatever the case may be, or whoever. Like, if you love doing it every single day you go and do it, and you genuinely have fulfillment from it, then that is your dream job. No one can take that from you. And then when the point in time comes that you don't love it anymore, it's time to find a new dream job.
Fair enough. How long have you been streaming?
Well, to the angels above, 38 years. But to you guys here on Earth, I've been streaming since 2020. Yeah.
Right on. You totally made that sound like your life was like the Truman Show, honestly.
Whose is it though? Truman Show. First of all, Truman Show is probably the greatest movie ever made. Okay,
It's a great movie. Okay? Great movie.
Second of all, it holds up 20 years later than
true.
it was when it
You're
did.
right.
It's like, bro, what? Yes, that is exactly what's going on right now, especially right now where we got everybody who streams and we go live and we feel like everybody cares about what we do. That's what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like this. We literally live in a Truman Show, and who knows what's watching us? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I heard somebody say, somebody on TikTok said that they feel like an NPC, right, or a character in a video game.
Yeah.
Right. And that going to sleep is basically whoever's controlling your life getting off the game.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then when you wake up, it's like them starting your mission again and playing you as a game type of shit. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy, So
absolutely. Have you ever encountered a challenging moment while streaming?
Yes, every time I go live. I mean, honestly, bro. Like, if you don't, like, are you even streaming? Like, there's technical difficulties. There's people in your chat. There's people, there's your own self confidence. There's technology is crazy, bro. Like, one minute you have everything set up, next minute a Windows update comes and you have to reinvent your whole damn stream.
Yeah.
Or your computer shuts down. It's just like that. And it's you have to accept the I don't want to say failure. You have to accept the bugs that happen with this sort of thing and the hiccups, because I accepted it even where on Twitch I have commands for when, I mean, there was a time where I didn't have this microphone. I had another microphone, and if I would smack it or if I would move it a certain way, it would stop working
Yeah.
completely. So I made it a joke, and when I first started streaming, my camera would freeze because I didn't understand that I needed to power the camera with something else. So it would just freeze on me, and I would have to turn it off and turn it back on, you know. So we had a command for that too. So it's just kind of embracing what happens and just being okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people whose streams run very, very smoothly. I am not one of those people, but I've just embraced it as part of my brand and embraced it as, like, you know, it's what we do here. You know, we're not perfect, and it's okay. I feel like everyone watches perfect or wants to be perfect or wants to be what they can appear as perfect, and it's like, no, I'm not
Y-
perfect.
Yo,
My shit
I'm
messes
like,
up, you know.
he's saying this, and I'm like a prime example of this because, like, if anybody don't know, when we do the TWS shows, like, there's some times where I am like not happy with the show, and BRD is usually the one who's like, the show was fine, man. Everything doesn't need to be special all the time. Doesn't need to be perfect. Like, it's okay. And I'm not lying when he said earlier, guys, that he tells you like it is, as far as in terms of a critique standpoint, whether you don't want to hear it or not. It's true. It's facts. I mean, if you guys ever need any help, not only with critiques, you know, movies to watch, whether it's worth your time or not, I'm telling you, this is the guy to talk to. And again, you know, just to do a small little plug, his QR code is right there. Please definitely check it out. He does a lot of reviews on TikTok, and I'm sure we'll probably plug this again here towards the end of the show. But it's for real. When it comes to being straight up front and telling you like it is, this is the man to talk to, honestly. Heading back here, we kind
Just
of touched.
disclaimer: be careful what you wish for.
We touched on this earlier. Did ask what your favorite movie was. I know you said Carlito's Way,
It's
correct?
one of my favorite movies. Yeah, Sandlot was as a child. Sandlot was probably one of my all-time favorite movies. Um, but as I grew up, it just kind of evolved to certain things. I love mafia movies, Goodfellas and Godfather. You know, that was like a huge part of my life. Like, I just love them. I can watch them to this day and turn my brain off and act like it's the first time I watched it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just cinema. You know, it's amazing. You know, Casino is a good one.
Casino's
Um,
good. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just this those type of films really kind of stuck with me. You know what I mean? I wasn't the Rocky fans, and you know, I grew up watching martial arts films, you know, bootleg movies and all that. So there's certain things, you know, I just like all types of shit. Like, if I like it, I like it. If I rewatch it,
Yeah.
then you know I like it. You know, especially if I rewatch it over and over, then it's like, yeah, bro, my
Yeah,
shit.
I always joke with the kids all the time with the Sandline. I'm like, did you know that Squints and Wendy Peppercorn had 9 kids? Like, you know, like I always
Right.
bring that
You know
up.
what's crazy about that? She was kind of a creeper.
Yeah.
The kid was like 13, bro. Maybe 12. And she had to be at least 18 years old. She's a lifeguard, bro. But we
uh,
suspend reality, right? We suspend reality because we think it's a funny story, or we think it's you
mhm.
know, it's kind of cute or whatever. Sorry to ruin anybody's day or whatever who liked the Sandlot, but it's like, bro, clearly these kids are like 11, 12 years old max. You know what I'm saying? She's definitely at least 18 years old. There's no reason she should be looking at him the way she does, or
um
let alone having 9 kids later on. Yeah.
Next question here. Do you have a favorite game and a least favorite game? And what genre is your favorite as well?
Well, I hate Call of Duty, and I can say that with a capital H. It's terrible. I used to be heavy into it, and it would stress me the hell out. Like, seriously, my blood pressure would go through the roof playing that game. Um, Even though I was really good at it. So that I can tell you that off back, it's one of the ones I do not like. One of the ones that I think that I like is I like story based games. You know, like I like uh, I like games that are, how you say, there's missions involved, right? There's an actual you played through the story. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah. I
one
mean,
of the games that
my favorite story game of all time is Metal Gear Solid. Will always be. Ever
yeah,
since, I think it's one of the most innovative games for its time. Back in '98 when it originally came out. I mean, I have tattoo characters of both of Liquid and Solid Snake tattooed on my calves. That's how much I love this franchise. Although I feel like they ruined it. But yeah, story games.
they always ruin everything, bro. They ruin everything because they think they know what the hell they're talking about. They
Right.
trying to
So is
capitalize on products that bring them money, and it's like, bro, just shut up and listen to the fans, and you will get all the money. That's literally the like you don't have to corporate it up. Pay attention to what the fans want. They are the ones buying your shit, and guess what?
Yep.
They will continue to buy your shit if you just listen to them. Stop
Yep.
stop trying to give them something they don't want because you think it's gonna be good. No, give the fans what the hell they want. Let them be the ones to tell you, "Hey, I will buy this." That's it. It's not hard. It's not rocket science, bro. Like, stop trying to do different shit, bro. That's just annoying, and they do it everything,
I
bro.
agree. I agree. That's the
It's
same thing. Like
terrible.
Disney's prime example. Disney is destroying Star Wars. I'm sorry. Like the only thing that Disney is good since they've had the rights of Star Wars is The Mandalorian and Rogue One. That's it. The rest of it is I don't know about Ahsoka because I haven't seen Ahsoka. I don't know what's going on there, but it is absolutely just
Listen, the only reason why I have
not
Disney
even Star
Plus,
Wars.
only reason why I have Disney Plus is because they cut the check for a couple months, and you know I get a deal with Hulu. That's about it. Other than that, I don't watch
Yeah.
anything on there. You know, some of their like series are okay, like especially if you're like trying to turn your brain off and watch something that's like but ultimately, man, bro, Rebel Moon's the only Star Wars I will ever recognize from here on out.
Gotcha. Um, Almasta, were you born in Puerto Rico or in the States? And if so, what part of Puerto Rico?
I was born and raised in the Bronx,
Okay.
and my family is from Caguas, Puerto Rico.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Puerto Rican meal?
The women. No, yes, I I like
I'm putting that on a T-shirt.
I like rice beans, carne guisado, which is basically like a beef stew. That's probably one of my go-to stuff, right there.
Yo,
I can eat that
I
anytime.
I
Sancocho is another one I love, which
you might
I
know
don't really know if that's Puerto Rican or Dominican, but I fucking love it either way.
you might know the name for it, but I had this Puerto Rican rice, man. It was absolutely amazing. I could not put that stuff down. Like, it's funny when it was made for me, it was like,
Oh, of
oh,
course, bro. I know how it is.
yeah,
You
like
were finally introduced to flavor, and it's okay.
oh my god, it was so good. I kept getting told to bring it home
Listen,
for
that's how
bring
they
home the
get you, though.
leftovers, and I never brought it home, man. I ate
That's
all of it, dude.
that's how they get you, bro.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
That's how they trap you. Be
Uh,
very, very careful. I don't say I didn't warn you.
yeah, right. Yeah. How many languages can you speak?
I prefer not to disclose that.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, what's your definition of speak? Like,
Obviously, you know Spanish
yeah.
and you know English. Do you know
I
Russian?
I was learning Italian because I went over to Italy and I wanted to learn stuff, and then I kind of got like, I
Italian.
kind of wanted to get like some of the language in me, but it didn't work out. But it is a language that I feel like is easily translatable from Spanish, So,
Okay.
but yeah,
Have you ever traveled outside the country?
I have, and I 100% recommend it for anybody. Leave this continent of North America, please, while you still can.
Okay.
Seriously, like all jokes aside, I think that everybody in their life should travel outside of where they were born, what country they were born, at least once. It will give you so much more perspective in life, and it kind of like opens up something in you. I don't know how to explain it. Seriously, I really don't. It's like one of those things. Like, and then you become that person who has a story somewhere else. You know what I mean? You might become somebody, someone that somebody doesn't like because you're always talking about your adventure somewhere else. But the thing is, you have that adventure, you have that memory, you have, and it's beautiful.
All right, well, that is all the questions from We're gonna get the question here from Wild. She asks, "When was your first real love?"
Fourth
She
grade,
getting, she getting deep.
fourth grade, that bitch. No, um, I guess that was my first heartbreak. I guess. Um, I guess. High school time. At least what you think it is, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Um, and now we're doing it. We're
Let me
going
let me
into
tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
Women in New York are cruel. Just so
Women
you
in New
know.
York are cruel. I've heard.
Absolutely.
I've
They
heard
do not give a damn about your life.
rumors that
They will stab you.
like like Puerto Rican women are crazy in New York. I've heard that.
No, it's not just in New York. They're in general everywhere.
Not just in New York in general.
Hmm. Yeah.
Man, I
But
better
that's why
watch
people like
out.
them, and that's why they're fun and awesome.
Okay. All right.
The key is to get them on your side and
Okay.
direct the crazy somewhere else.
Oh,
You
okay.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving into Cam combos here. He kind of asked a question we already touched on. What got you into wrestling? I know you said Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon way back in the day. So I'm gonna take a different spin on this and ask, what is your favorite match of all time?
God damn. Man, that's so tough, bro. Because recently, one of the greatest matches that I've ever seen was Kenny Omega versus um Will Ospreay. I mean, I was jumping out of my seat at 6 o'clock in the morning watching that. You know, half asleep. I still had to drive home because I was at TBG's house. Um, and it was at 6 o'clock in the morning because it was up. But that has to be one of the best matches that I've ever seen in my life as an adult. Um, but as a child, it would have to be the ladder match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels.
See, my favorite match of all time was gotta be Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania 18. Because the way I feel like the crowd is the one that really made that match. Because nobody really knew who to cheer for. Bad guy, bad guy, good for. And just the way it was. In terms of as much as, that was probably one of my favorite matches. But the craziest bump I've ever seen is when Kurt Angle takes that moonsault off the cage and just like completely misses it and he flops like a fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we all know the usual stuff, like mankind getting thrown off the top of the Hell in a
yeah,
Cell, and that sort of thing. But like, I think that the crowd makes any match.
yeah.
Honestly, that's why they pipe it in WWE. That's why they choose to tell you who to cheer for, is because they know that the crowd is the one that makes the matches. Um, and I think I learned that all in an early age because I remember being there once and it was so quiet in the arena when they were wrestling. You could hear everything, and then it's just spurts of like you know what I mean. But now you go watch it. It's just it's so much more exciting. You're surrounded by people who love the same thing, and
Mhm.
it's a beautiful experience. But yeah, honestly, those kind of matches were the ones that really like they had storyline to it and that really kind of told like The Rock was probably one of my favorite wrestlers growing up because I just liked the way he was on the microphone. It wasn't even
Mhm.
about the way he sold. It wasn't even his wrestling. It was just how his persona was, and I just thought he was
Sure.
hilarious. Stone Cold was the badass that we all wanted to be.
Sure.
But Razor Ramon, like I grew up thinking he was Cuban. He's not. He was just a white boy trying to, act like he was
Yeah.
Scarface, and it was a terrible
Oh
impression. But
man, I remember
I
the
was like
baby.
an adult when I found that out. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember the vignettes back in the day. They'd be, you'll make clear the table for you, man. I'll clear the table for you. The
Right.
vignettes from back in the day. But um, kind of want to stay on the wrestling kick here. So I have
So
kind
hold on
of
a
two.
second. I'm gonna read a question. So I'm gonna get one from the chat real quick.
Okay.
So Backlash of San Juan, I think it was dope on many levels because I feel like Puerto Rico deserves all the events that they can get because I think it boosts the economy over there. It boosts the businesses over there. There's nobody like Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico. I promise you. If you ever get a chance to go, respect the island because if you don't, they will disrespect you. Like seriously, it's not the same. Like it's a part of America, but it's not. Like it's like its own thing, and it needs to be respected as that. So I want to go on the record to say that when you go to Puerto Rico, understand that you are in a different country, and you are to treat them like that, and respect the culture, respect like the people, because a lot of people go over there and they think that they can do whatever they want, and you just might run into the right one and realize you cannot do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
just understand that part. But yeah, I think that it was good for the island, and I thought it was a great show. The crowd was insane. Probably the best crowd that they've had in the states for a very long time. To be honest, it might have honestly that was the payoff to having Bad Bunny as a wrestler and having like that was the reason why you did it, and that's the how you say um that is what kind of reset them in a lot of people's minds is that crowd. So
I'm gonna add on to this question here from Cam. He wants to talk about how do you come up with a character of Cowboy Benny. But
okay.
I want to add on to this question of how has your experience and how has like your fulfillment been being involved not only with Cowboy Benny or however you want to perceive him, but also with just in fantasy wrestling in general. There's a lot of difference between fantasy wrestling and EFED. What is your experience in touching base on that?
Sorry, I kind of blanked out for a second.
Like,
I got a
okay,
note from
so
where
his question is basically
I
how
know
did you
his
come up.
question. I got his question,
Right.
but your part.
Mine is I just want to know how your experience is with fantasy wrestling versus like, I know we see e-feds too. But I just want to know like what like how what kind of fulfillment you get of on how being involved in fantasy wrestling that you love. Like what do you love about it? What's so great about it? Just kind of put on a spill about that.
Well, I'll answer the question first. First question.
Okay.
So Cowboy Benny actually started out as a GTA RP character. I don't know where I got that from. I just came up with it in my head, and it kind of stuck. He was a character who I brung into a city. Those of you who don't know what GTA RP is essentially you you use the game GTA 5 to be specific, and you go into these cities that are modded to have real life sort of things in them. Like some of them have like real life cars, they have cell phones, they have watches, they have a bunch of things that were found in the real world, but it's a heavily modded game. And when you in that game, you're basically living as your character in that game. So it's role playing on a different level. And in my opinion, you're acting out a show, right? But in somebody else that's around you, you're being a different person to them, right? It's all a part of a bigger thing. So that is like the gist of it. I could say it's like it's role playing on a different level, right? So he was a motorcycle guy who um his real name is Benny Blanco out of Carlito's Way. And he just one day I put on a hat and they started calling me Cowboy, so I just changed it to Cowboy Benny. And he was part of a motorcycle gang, and he rose through the ranks in there, and just kind of lived his life in that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? And at one point it just kind of died out, and it was just like whatever. But I've always kept the character alive, if that makes sense. So that's where the name and the persona comes from, just because I feel like I wanted to keep it alive. It was a very cool time in my life, and I think it was hilarious, you know. And then as far as like what we're doing with fantasy wrestling, I honestly I call it WWE RP, like, or wrestling RP, because it's not EFED, and I think that's probably the one thing I love about it, is that it's not EFED. It makes me feel like I'm part of a show that I grew up watching. I grew up, invested in. You know what I mean? And it just gives me something to do. And it makes me. What I love about it, I think, is the people who aren't fans and start getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like it's kind of a way, and I kind of hope that by getting into our show, it allows them to like go watch the real thing, right? And become
Mm-hmm.
fans of the real thing, and like be
Mm-hmm.
like it's further kind of growing the culture and the fan base. And if our show can do that, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? If we could take a game, create a show from it of fake wrestling. Literally, this is like probably even more fake than what wrestling is, right? Wrestling is not fake. Like the moves are real. The storyline is what is made up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we could take this and make someone become a fan of the bigger thing. That's beautiful, right there. You know.
Absolutely. And it's funny to touch base on that when you're talking about turning non-fans into fans, Mama Pumpkin, prime example, Mom Pumpkin wasn't a big wrestling fan, she told me, and all of a sudden she says every week she's sitting there watching from her phone, sometimes screaming at her character because she's doing something stupid because of the AI is doing something dumb or whatever.
Right.
That right there alone, I mean, I've literally had emotions where Mom Pumpkin is saying that she was, almost cried the night she beat Hustle Dice in the championship. So like to bring an emotion out of that, a real life emotion out of something after something we're doing, that right there is what it's all worth.
It's
That right there.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
beautiful, dude. Like if you think about how many people watch the show, right? Between both shows that we do, you would say average about 40 people, right? Imagine
Yeah.
40 people in your living room watching wrestling.
Yeah.
That's a lot of freaking
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you'll fill up your house pretty damn quick. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing where people can kind of look and come about, be a part of, and participate in. You know what I mean? And that's why I try to encourage it as much. Like the immersion in role play is based on what you do, right? And how you react to it, and how you go about telling the story. The more you give it, the more it gives back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just be who you want. Like create a persona for your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll break it down. Like when Cowboy Benny was created, I had to create a backstory, which is why we have you guys do that for your wrestlers, right? We had to create a backstory. I had to understand who Cowboy Benny was, what I want his goal to be, how I would want him to react to certain things, how
Yeah.
like different persona traits, right? Like different
Right.
things in his mind, like oh he's not good with numbers, so he doesn't like this, so he doesn't like that, right?
Right.
Like and I had to think about that in my decision making, right? So when it comes to your wrestler, if you're watching this and you're looking at like what I want my wrestler to kind of be, I feel like you have to think the same way, right? Is your wrestler a heel? That's the first thing you want to know. Is he a heel or a face? If he is a heel, what kind of heel does you want him to be? What kind of face do you want him to be? Like what doesn't he like? What is his go-to? Is he always a cheater? Is he always like, is he the type of person to cut a 30-minute long promo? Is he the type of person to like, you know what I'm saying, not cut promos and just do things, Like think of these things as part of telling the story of who your character is, right? And I think that's once you start doing that, you start becoming more invested, because now it's like, okay, now I can control my character. I can be what I want it to be, and maybe you want to be that person in real life, right? But you take that persona of who you are and you put it into your character, and you kind of that's what they do in real wrestling. They take a portion of who they are and they just expand it to a higher level, and we accept it because we know they're putting on a show.
Absolutely, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Um, Cam asks, "What's the most embarrassing moment of your life?"
I don't know, dude. I don't.
Right now, he's feeling pretty embarrassed. No, I'm just
I'm not
kidding.
embarrassed at
I'm
all.
kidding.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
no, hell no. I'm not embarrassed at this. I think
I'm
falling off my
kidding.
motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah,
Ironically, yeah, it's like those
uh,
moments. I'm like, fuck. I just want to go and hide.
yeah, yeah. He says, "What is your favorite movie slash TV? DC, Walking Dead, etc. DC, Marvel, Walking Dead, etc." I'm guessing he's talking about genres a little bit on what
I
you
think he
would
said
gravitate more.
TV.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's saying
uh,
movie slash TV universe.
oh, like he's saying like DC
Yeah,
Snyderverse, the
Snyderverse.
only verse, it's the only verse that matters. Um, no, honestly, I don't really have. I don't. I guess I don't really have one. Um,
Hmm.
I watch everything, so it's kind of hard to say, oh, I like this that. Like, at one point, in my opinion, Marvel had better movies than DC, and DC had better TV than Marvel.
Sure.
So I'm just not really a fanboy of them like that,
Sure.
Again, I think that equates to because I work in the industry, I understand the things that happen in the background, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
so it's all the same shit, it's just coming from a different toilet.
Has there ever been a movie you're scared of, or if there has been, what movie?
When I was a kid, though, one of the movies that really kind of messed with me is Maniac Cop 2.
Really, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Maniac Cop was crazy as hell. It was about a cop who got lit on fire. I believe he got lit on fire by the mob or something like that,
Huh.
or some sort of gang, and he came back from the dead to kill them all, basically. Um, and then in Maniac Cop 2, they feel like they buried him, right? They finally got rid of him, you know what I mean? And then at the end, this is what part that really messed with me. They put his badge on the casket because I think the badge had the magical power. I think that's where the and now that I'm thinking about it, I think the badge is what allowed him to come back, right? Like it has some
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing that happened with it, and they put the badge on top of it, and he like put his hand through it and grabbed the badge, and that was it for me. I was like, oh no. I
Gotcha.
was like,
Gotcha.
he's about to come through my closet right now, bro.
Um, who is one of your favorite movie character or slash characters? If you had to name them.
Shit. Yeah, that's a hard
That's a
question, bro.
lot. Yeah, he's talking like masses because there's a lot. I mean, you've seen a lot of movies. You've done a lot of movies. So, like, to name a few, obviously in my eyes, you're looking at Wesley Snipes and Demolition Man. He played Simon. I love that character.
Yeah, same
Um,
here.
so there's
Down with the
many.
establishment.
You
I
know,
think it depends on like what I'm in the mood right now, right? Like I like characters who like they might seem nerdy, but they're still badass. You know what I'm saying? Like Scott Pilgrim. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a
yeah,
nerd, but he's still kind of badass and shit.
yeah.
I guess that kind of character or a character who just kind of like the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like characters like John Wick, people
Yeah.
who are fearless and are out to just get revenge type of shit. So it's kind of tough to really answer that because it depending on how I'm feeling that day or where I'm going through, kind of I gravitate towards one.
That's it for Cam's question. Heartless Slayer asks a question here. Who's your biggest inspiration?
Who's my biggest inspiration?
Mm-hmm.
I pull inspiration from everybody. So I know that's like a cop out, but it's true. Um, I think my mom kind of has an effect in a way because she was a single mom who raised 4 kids by
Sure.
herself while having 2 jobs and going to school. And I was like
Yeah.
I helped her do it. I was like the guy who like helped her do it and seen it all. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of a measurement that I've had all my life. It was like, bro, you can't tell me you can't do this shit when I've seen somebody in a worse way do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And who knows what choices she had to make during that time and what she gave up to do that. But it's like, yeah, it has to be, in my opinion, inspirational thing. It's like, dude, you know what I'm saying? You went
That's
through the
good.
worst shit, bro, and like,
Yeah.
but now I look at it, my son is probably my biggest inspiration.
That's awesome.
He
That's great.
inspired me to do shit, basically.
And the last and final question on the list comes from our Lord Commander TBG himself.
I'm
Says,
answering
how
this
old
question.
was he when he first learned to build a car from the ground up as a young mechanic in training?
Oh God. So for whatever reason, he thinks because I'm Puerto Rican that I'm a mechanic. I don't understand where this came from, but he likes to mess with me all the time. And one time, to mess with him, I started playing Car Mechanic Simulator on my stream, and he ran with that shit. He was like, "Finally, you're doing what you love to do. I'm here to learn about cars, blah blah." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm not a mechanic, man. I just like I had to work on cars because we didn't have money, and when we finally had cars, you had to fix it yourself. And just so happened that, my one of my younger brother's father, he like." He was a mechanic. He worked on cars. He had his own business. You know what I'm saying? As if you talk about inspiration, that's like another one that I draw inspiration from is like, he had his own business, bro. Like he taught me the idea of having your own business and having the ability to do it yourself and to hustle and to make your own money. One of the things, one of the things that he's told me was the only friend you have is the $20 bill in your pocket. And he's not wrong. It's kind of a fucked up way to think, but he's not wrong. If you got money, then you got a friend. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, to specifically answer his question, when I was in high school, I'll probably say like 16 is when I had to help my father build. I call him my father. He's not my biological father, but I call him my father because he raised me. And I had to help him build a Mustang, 65 Mustang, because he didn't have I was the only one that could help him. Essentially, you know what I'm saying? So I had to go from high school, come out of school, and go to his house, and then I was like I wouldn't say I was troubled youth, but I didn't go to school every day. Let's just put it that way. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things I had to do if I wanted to stay living in my mom's house was I had to go help him. So I would go from school, or go from where I was cutting from, and I would go help him out. And
He's
there was
blown
things
up
I
right
learned.
now. He's
I know he
blown
is.
up.
I don't know why. I don't know why, bro.
Oh man.
I don't listen. I feel like at one point I had that in me where like I wanted to do that, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what I was doing with my father, you know what I'm saying? And I grew interest in it. But again, it goes to along the lines of what we talked about earlier. If I had somebody who was as passionate as me about steering me in that direction and help honing that passion, then I probably would be a mechanic right now.
Sure.
And I'd probably hate my life because I wouldn't be doing something I love, or I might love it because it was something that someone helped me embrace. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to school because I thought that's what I wanted to do, and then when I got into the real world doing it, like I had to do like internship or something. I was like, I didn't like the way the guy was, and I didn't like the practice that the guy was, and how he was like grimy.
Sure.
And that kind of really threw me off of it. But I used to like, you know, if I needed like $70 or something, I would help my pops do like a tune up on somebody's car or oil change or, you know, freaking whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't like I was like in a shop taking an engine apart and putting it back together. No, I wasn't doing any of that,
he, he making
I
it
was
sound
I
like
was
you
doing
running that.
that.
You making it
Right, you
sound like
make it
you
sound
running
like I
that
got like
chop
an auto
shop.
shop
Yeah.
somewhere and shit. It's like, no, bro. But whatever. I guess I have the mindset of a mechanic, but I'm just not.
Yeah.
I've broken a lot of stuff as a mechanic, so I'm not a mechanic.
It's-
But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to work on something. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like I think my first mindset is I'll work on it myself before I take it somewhere to pay for it. So I guess in his mind, that's what it means to be a mechanic. But and if that's the case, sure, whatever. You know, if it makes you feel happy, whatever. I'm a mechanic then. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't go around advertising that, you know,
Hey,
just because I feel like that's not the right thing to say,
Manny,
you know.
Manny the mechanic doesn't sound bad. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Nah, bro. And to be honest, like I didn't do a lot. I mean, I did body work and shit like that, and it was like I did all
Uh,
types of different things. You know, I could change brakes. I work on my motorcycle because I don't trust anybody, and I don't have anybody else to be like, yo,
yeah.
you know, I don't have anybody else to be like, yo, I'll work on this for you. But and when you have a motorcycle, you kind of have to work on it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like how you learn about your bike and learn like what works and what doesn't. You know.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, other than that, I guess you know my mind has always been like that. I used to take computers apart, put them back together, but that doesn't mean I'm an IT guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like so
Yeah.
I guess if you say if I'm looking at a problem on my car and I say I can tackle it on my own, I guess you can call me a mechanic then.
There you go. Um. Well, that is all the questions we have. I just have one more, and then I'll let you plug yourself here, and we'll go ahead and you can choose who we go over and see today. But my last question is, being in the Taco Society, how has that experience been to you, and what plans do we have from the future as far as your Uncle Manny here, the rebranding? So two-part question, pretty much.
No, I'm kidding. Well, Talks, you know what? You should record this so I don't have to record this later, okay, buddy?
Why do you
You
think
know what I'm
I
saying?
said this?
Yeah. I know, right? Hold on, let me go to this. Let me go to this part real quick so I can understand where you're. Let me format it for you, okay? You got a lot of people. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So, what I would like to say is Taco Society is a great place to be. You should definitely be a part of it. Everyone is inclusive here. They love everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like they're very supportive in this society of tacos, you know. So that's definitely why you should be a part of it. That's number one. Number two, the reason why I love it is because of that reason. There's encouragement here. There's people who genuinely want to see you strive, you know. And I think that that's very unique in this taco society, if you will. So yeah, I would say that is the reason why. You know, I was a little reluctant to the first beginning. I was like, I don't know about this rude boy guy. He sounds shifty. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But you grew on me, sir.
Yeah,
And yes, and that's all. Now you're stuck with me. You can't get rid of me. So
I appreciate that.
prepare yourself. And as far as your Uncle Manny, I felt like I needed a new start with BRD. BRD was my name from like the beginning, you know,
Mhm.
and the reason why I chose Brown Red Dad is because I wanted people. I was on Twitch and I didn't see myself, right? I didn't see when you first get on there. Really, any platform, you don't see they tend to genuinely only show you one type of person.
Mhm.
And it looked like you more than it looked like me, if you get me. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted people to know that when I get into the chat, that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm brown and I'm a dad and I think I'm rad, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I want to kind of, I don't want to say I want to force people, but I want people to have to say what I am in
Mhm.
chat. And for a while it worked and it became popular and then people started shortening up to BRD because I felt you know, again, it felt like Brown Rad Dad doesn't fall off the tongue that well. You know, it was hard for people to say sometimes. And at first that was a good thing. But then see people started shortening it up saying BRD, you know. And but then I was just like, you know what? I started thinking about I started thinking about myself being interviewed for something. Right? Not even I mean, not even this, right? Like yes, this was one of the things, but like I'm thinking of like when I've reached a point where I think that I've made it, right? Or I think I've done goals that I want to accomplish, right? and being interviewed, let's say for like the news or something, and how they introduced me, I felt like I needed something that sounded better or sounded more appealing to when they say we're here with, saying like we're here with Brown Red. It's like it didn't really flow to me, right? And then I started thinking, I was like, me and you had a conversation. We kind of
Yep.
talked about like the rebranding thing or whatever.
And I
And
sent
then
you
I
like
was,
20 names.
yeah, and I was like, this is all terrible. They're terrible, rude. Go to hell. No, and then it was just like, I was like, everybody has a cool uncle, right? There's always that uncle that somebody has that they go to for advice, they go to for stories, you know what I'm saying, or they're the cool one in the family. It's always an uncle that's dope. And I was like, I'm an actual Uncle Manny, so I was like, you know what, I'll be everybody's Uncle Manny, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's cool. And then I just felt like Uncle Manny, like it just flows, like we're here with Uncle Manny today,
Yeah.
talking about blah blah, and then so ultimately, like when I get introduced, I want to be his Uncle Manny, right? Versus like your Uncle Manny. Your Uncle Manny's the handle because I want people to realize like I'm your Uncle Manny, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's one of those things, like it just kind of came about, and I was just like dope. And it was crazy because like it instantly started working. So I was like,
Yeah.
this was the right decision, you know what I mean? And then plus if you put the acronym together, it spells yum.
Mm-hmm.
I
Got you.
want to be
Yum.
scrumptious. So.
Right.
Yum, exactly.
Ladies
Content
and
that's
gentlemen,
yummy.
ladies and gentlemen, the QR code is right there. If you guys want to be anywhere from movie reviews, show reviews, or anything like that, please reach out. He goes by Cowboy Benny in the Taco Society, or he goes by Cowboy Benny in Taco Society. I think Brown Rad Dad too. But your Uncle Manny, as far as the new edition of the TikTok coming out. Um,
Well,
anything you want
officially,
to?
I'll be rebranding as that everywhere. So, like, I think even on Kick, testing.
Okay.
On
Uh,
Kick, I'm your Uncle Manny too.
anything you would like to leave for anybody that's watching Talk Society, anybody at all, and then if you want to basically kind of give me an idea on who you would like to go see today as far as we pass all these lovely people on to.
Well, I would like to say this. Don't take yourself too seriously. Go after what you love, no matter how old you are, no matter how invested you are in what you're doing. If you're not happy, go to what makes you happy. Period. Happiness is probably the best thing that you can get from anything. You know what I'm saying? And don't be afraid to do that. I know it's not easy and it's not going to be a smooth ride, but it's going to be worth it. I promise you that. I started my journey, with a fresh newborn. I quit my job and I was like, we're gonna go after this and we're gonna do it, and we made it happen, right? If you could figure out a way to do it, do it. There's no shame in that, Don't let other people project their own insecurity or their own like self doubt on you, because people do that and they do it subconsciously sometimes, right? Because they don't want to. They feel like, oh, they're gonna fail. Some people even think that they're being friends or they're being helpful by doing that, right? By saying, oh, you're gonna fail, you're gonna do this, like blah blah blah. But in all actuality, they're just telling themselves that because they are the ones that failed, And for me, you fail when you stop doing it. You don't fail because a bump in the road happened, or a technical difficulty happened. You fail when you give up on it. You know, when you can pull yourself up and keep doing it, it's a success. You have to understand that. Like, it sounds corny and it sounds like something that somebody always tells you, but it's the damn truth. You know what I'm saying? And going back to my analogy of like when you first started learning how to walk, you had a determination of going somewhere. And it did not matter how many times you busted your ass as a baby. You got back up. You picked yourself up, whether you're kicking and screaming and crying or whatever, or maybe somebody picked you up, but you kept trying until you got it. And then once you got it, you went to the next level. You started running. You started learning how to like, let's see how fast I can go and how quick I can stop. You still fell. You still hurt yourself, but you didn't let that stop you. And it wasn't easy. but like nothing in life worth it is easy. You know, you have to go through those pains in order to grow. So say that like just embrace it, embrace the journey, embrace the change, the difficulties, embrace all that, and understand that on the other side of that is going to be something great, and you just got to keep going. You just got to keep doing it. Yep.
Awesome words there. Well, Uncle Manny, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate you, man. And I just want to let you know that you are an inspiration, not only to me, but many others in the Taco Society and around the world. I love all your content. I try
Listen
to.
here, nice boy. I don't want to hear shit you're saying, boy. All right. You better
I,
prepare yourself for tonight. No, don't try to cut me off, goddammit. Listen, don't be like your brother, all right? We're having
Nothing
fun
like it.
here. Don't make me hit you.
Absolutely.
I'll come
Absolutely.
across this deck. You make me stand up, won't you?
But I do appreciate you coming on the show, and again, like I said, you are an inspiration to all of us, and I love seeing your TikToks every single day, man. I don't think that there's not one time where I go on it and I don't see a video of yours that pops up, and I love all of them, you know. And I always try to leave a comment. I always try to do it at heart, because you know I am generally wanting to be supportive and interested in what you do.
I appreciate that.
So guys, again, QR code is there. Manny, thanks for coming in, brother. Who would you
You got
like
it.
to
Thanks for having me, bro.
who would you like to see today? Anybody
I would like to
interested?
see somebody called Ruboy Mitch. I want him to stream so that way he can entertain me this morning. That's the only person I care about right now.
I can't host myself, man. I can't host myself.
Listen, if you take the T out of Kit and try, you can.
Oh my god. Okay, anybody else but me. You know.
I
Anybody,
don't know, man. I don't have
I mean,
anybody
if
that I
you want,
think
I
to
can
care
pick
about.
someone too.
I'm not on this kick journey here. I don't know people here. Whoever you decide
Okay. Okay.
will probably be ungrateful for it. So
Okay.
feel
No,
free.
no, no. He will be grateful. Okay. I have someone. Again, thanks again for coming on the show. We
Hey,
hope you
thanks
all
for
have
having
a
me.
great rest of your day. I know we've got some things cooking up here in the future too, as well, guys. So stay
Oh
tuned to
yeah.
it. And I hope you all have a fantastic day.